You're listening to
The Mariety Show.
The Mariety Show.
The Mariety Show.
This is Pac-Man Fever by Moody Gallinule and Jazzy Cat 77.
I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever. It's driving me crazy. I got Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind.
We got a guest today, which is awesome. A guest that hasn't been on before because, well, I guess the last episode the person was on before, but wasn't on before. But we have another guest that hasn't been on before, and she also has a podcast as well. We have Duchess of New Jersey. What's up?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
She's so nice. She sounds so sweet, but wait till we get to talking. I know I'll get her. I know she'll say something crazy. I know she will. Sorry, I'm still adjusting my headphone levels. I think I finally perfected it, but I need to remember what I do because every time I record, I always forget. So I'm like, crap.
It's the same thing every time, and then you're like, "What did I do?" It's like making a recipe. You just never write it all down. Like,
I don't know. I don't know if you have the issue too, but like, when we record, even we missed a couple weeks on the Bible podcast, but when we record every week, I came into the problem every freaking week. It's like, Audacity has an update. Audacity has an update. I'm like, I literally updated this shit last week.
I have to reboot again. God damn it. Yeah.
It's so annoying.
Frustrating.
Yeah. And then this.
And I get it, but it's usually like the tiniest tweak that doesn't make a difference, you think. And then you're like, I got to redo everything.
Yeah. This audio stuff is very annoying to figure out. And I have it set up well enough now, but I don't understand it fully. But you guys, you're on. Well, let's start with you're on. You have a you have two podcasts now, kind of. What's going on? What are you on? What do you do?
Well, the main podcast that I'm on is the Boomer Bunker with John Jamingo, who has been podcasting for quite a while, and he's had a couple partners, and then he invited me to him and Boomer Bob a little over a year ago. And as of the beginning of this year, Boomer Bob stepped down for some things, and John and I kind of took over, and we've been running just the two of us ever since. So it's been ridiculously fun. I'm very lucky. John is really produces everything, so he handles a majority of the lift for the show.
Nice.
I get to show up on
Nice.
and bring topics and do things.
So he isn't just like Doug and just like starts recording and just. That's
hey.
I need to stop saying bad stuff about Doug. I'm so mean. I don't know.
We're sorry, Doug.
He's an easy target until you start speaking to him.
Then it's probably like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I don't know if you listened to my episodes. I forgot. Episodes with Doug, but or I've been on one of their episodes, vice versa. And yeah, he's a tough cookie. He is.
Well, he seems like a no nonsense kind of fella.
Yes.
So, but you need that personality dynamic. I think with him and Anthony, that totally works.
Oh yeah.
So,
but I think I could I think I could take on John. I don't know how you could do that every week though.
Oh, John is fantastic. I just adore him. He is great. And we talk a lot of politics. I mean, especially now that it's ramped up with the election. Now that the election, well, I'll say the election's over, but but it's been a lot of politics and current events, and he has helped me up my game with a lot of the news feeds and things like that, just to pay more attention and just to look more of like what's behind the curtain, what's really happening, sort of it. So it's been very interesting to keep up with him, or at least attempt to keep up with him on that end. And then we're also like big sports fans. He's an Eagles fan. I'm a Steelers fan. So we talk football a lot. I know, not your thing, but it's a lot of sports. Yeah, I'm hopeless with football, but he's a good guy, and he like I said, he produces everything. He's a snob, so he wants everything to be perfect, and I appreciate all the work he does. So, but he's a good guy. He's fun to go nose. He will give everybody a platform to listen. Like he will, if you want to discuss something, he'll discuss it with you. You know, he has a
Nice.
way about him. So I mean, we're East Coasters, so you know, if you have a hard time talking to Jersey folks, well, you know,
Oh, yeah, that's a part of the country that kind of freaks me out. They're very direct, and they
yeah,
also like seem mean. I think I don't know if you're from there, but I mean, you definitely seem
yeah.
like you're from the East Coast, East Side. I don't know. Anyone in that
East side.
upper East area, they kind of
Yeah, like
scare
the
me.
Atlantic side. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the north part. I think would be all of, I think like Massachusetts and New Hampshire, that Maine, like that chunk. That's absolute northeast, and then we're just more of the. I say we're more civilized than that. But you know,
Yeah.
New York, Philly, or Pennsylvania, Delaware, Jersey, we're kind of clumped together, and yeah, it is a very direct. We are very direct people. And it's so funny. I was discussing this with someone actually yesterday, and I was like, we're the nicest people around. We may yell at you and cuss at you, but we'll be the first people to step up and help you. You know, if
Mm.
you're telling somebody, you know, you better put air in your tire, you got a flat tire, and all of a sudden they call you up like 4 days later, hey, I got a flat, and you'd be like, what the fuck? I told you to fix it. All right, I'm on my way. You know, like it's that. We'll yell at you, but we'll help you.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely,
that's very
100%.
weird because it's like
Yeah.
I'm not like from the deep south, but I just say I'm from the south, which I am, and it's not sugarcoating though, but like I guess maybe just the tone, it's usually a nicer tone.
Style. It's a style.
So like,
Yeah.
but I don't like things sugarcoated at this point. I mean, depending on like what you're saying to someone, if it's like, yeah, they're gonna freak out or whatever, like, sure, I'll sugarcoat something or I'll tactically
Yeah.
try to speak to them, whatever. But I don't know, something about y'all northerns, northeastern. I don't know.
We,
Y'all are
we are a
just
little
scary.
stereotyped, I
I'm just
think.
like I don't know if y'all are about to like pull a gun out on me or like
No.
like something.
So I have a story. So I have a girlfriend that came out to visit from Michigan a couple years ago, and she had not been to New York. So we went to New York, and for me, like driving to New York is a real pain in the ass. We take the bus. So we parked it, whatever, and got up into the city. Spent a whole day in the city. You know, we had some drinks, we ate dinner, we hit a lot of the sites that she wanted to see, and then we go back to the Port Authority, which is where the bus station is. And there's a monster line because it's one of the last buses of the night. And at one point, like people started kind of cutting in the lines. And my friend Lisa, very mellow, like very kind, passive, you know, like she's like, oh, like this. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you cutting it? Like I start getting after people. And
No,
that's
I
not
couldn't
normally
do
my first
that.
go-to. It's not my go-to. But
No.
at this point, this was going to be the last bus of the night. And we were it was either this bus or I wait till like 11 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm not waiting 3 hours to get a bus home. So I'm like, they're cutting in line or moving to a different. I'm like, there's people in line. What are you doing? Why are you cutting in front? And he's like, well, my friend's over here. I'm like, oh, I don't give a shit about your friend. We want all these people waiting to get on the same bus.
Gosh.
So
How?
like, I'm like
What the heck?
arguing with this kid, and my girlfriend's like, oh God, we're gonna get killed. We're gonna get killed.
I know, that's what I would have been like if
What are
I
you
was with
doing?
you.
It was a long day, but and again, that's not my normal go-to response. Is I am pretty mellow. Like I won't yell at people. I don't yell at people. It's one thing when it's John and I talking, and we're kind of going back and forth, and we're feeding off that energy. But I don't normally. That's not forward-facing. I work a lot with the public, so I'm not normally that aggressive. But at that moment, that kid got me.
Man,
He's probably in his late 20s, and I was just like, "What are you doing?" And he's like,
I
"What do you mean?" I'm like, "You're cutting the line."
I
It was
think
funny.
maybe that's where like some fights happen.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
for
at
sure.
least down south where like maybe someone, because especially I mean at this point a lot of cities are gonna say, oh, we're a mix of everywhere because it's a big city or whatever, but my city also is a mix of like people from a bunch of different places. So
Right.
if you start raising your voice at a southerner, they're gonna walk away and be like, okay, or like not want to deal with it, or they'll get right back at you because they think if you raise your voice, that's a sign of disrespect, sort of thing. I guess
It
is
is.
how I see it. So so then they're
I get
gonna
that.
like actually be mad, even if you're like just stating the facts. But
No, it's a tone. I get that. We are very. I hate to put I guess a characterization to it, but we're not unlike, I'll say, Donald Trump in the way that we speak and present. It's a bit in your face, but that's kind of the attitude of it, and it's not out of badness. It's just that's the way we are. I've never, I mean, respectful to people. I don't walk up and just be like, "Hey, yo," and yell at people. That's not a thing. But I don't normally tend to back down. But I'm also that person. If I get animated, I get loud. The hands go, and that's not out of meanness. It's just, as you can probably see me waving my hands right now. But
yeah,
it's get animated, and that's
Yeah.
part of the conversation. So, but I do
It's-
tend to get louder. Yeah.
it's crazy. That's just crazy to wrap my head. I don't know, like not like you're crazy or anything like that. I don't know.
No, I
It's
get
just
it, though.
like
It's
we
a whole nother sect.
yeah. I've
People.
only visited that portion of the country once, but it wasn't like a big city or anything. It was for a friend, and we stayed in their little area, and we didn't go like out really. Now another thing with that part of the country. Sorry, I'm not talking
Your
trash,
part, yeah.
but the
But
public, y'all like use trains and shit. We just drive everywhere. Like y'all do
I
taxi.
drive everywhere.
Okay,
I don't
you drive
live where
everywhere?
there's,
Okay,
like
okay.
a lot of, I'm not in a city. I'm a very suburban area. And
Okay.
there's actually not a lot
Okay.
of public transportation. So there's convenience to that.
Mhm.
I can see where, like in New York, like who wants to own a car? It's so expensive
Yeah.
to own a car and then store it, and because you don't want it destroyed.
Mhm.
But I'm not a big fan of public transportation I'll use lately in New York City. I don't like the subway.
Mhm.
I like to keep myself aware, and I choose my circumstances. Like, for example, in the subway, you're in a car with whoever's in that car.
Mhm.
I don't care for that because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know you. I don't want to know you. I just want to get to where I'm going to go. And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm solo, it's different. But if I had, like, when my girls were younger, I had my daughters with me. So now you're watching them and you're watching
Yeah.
everybody else. And lately, the trend of, like, crazy people that are in the subway stations, on the platforms, like kicking people in front of trains, like
Yeah.
that happened. That's a thing. And I'm like, I'm not putting myself in that. And I'm lucky enough where even when I go to the city, I'll either pay to ride the bus, maybe, or I'll just take an Uber or a cab.
Well, even like
It's just me.
I saw a video, even if it was a joke or something, it was like a short little TikTok. It was like my baby's first hour in New York, and they were taking a video of them with like grandma was holding them, and like this person is just putting
that.
up a middle finger at the baby.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, people give no shits.
Like,
in New
why?
York. Yeah, because they can. Because they can. And also, there's a load of crazy. New York is an enormous city. It's
That's
so
actually
crowded.
a city where everyone's from.
It is a melting pot of everybody. I mean, and I pretty much go to Manhattan. I don't go to the other boroughs. I don't go to the Bronx. I don't go to Brooklyn or anything like that. But just Manhattan, because it's just a big tourism hub right there.
Is that where the Friends is at? Friends, the TV show, or is that somewhere else?
You can go to the set.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't
you can
know.
do that
I don't
there.
know the differences. This is all New York City, Manhattan, and the Bronx. I don't know.
So Manhattan, yeah. So
Sorry,
New York
I have
City.
no clue.
No, that's all right. We're gonna do a history lesson. Has 5 boroughs to
Okay.
it. So there's New York. New York is made up of, like, that's their areas. So it's Manhattan, which is where, like, the ball drops, and they, like Times Square, like that's like the huge hub of excitement is usually New York. When people think New York City, they think Manhattan.
Okay, and this is just
Like,
New
that's-
York City. Like there are other cities
New York,
that
yeah.
that's not this, but the New York City is comprised of these 5 boroughs.
5 boroughs. So
Okay.
that's Manhattan, and then you have Brooklyn, which is kind of off. So there's like Manhattan. I'm doing visual for you, but
It's
I'm sorry
okay.
for
It's
your
okay. I'm
listeners.
trying to
I'll have to Google it.
map it out with my
Yeah,
hands.
think that, and then and it's you have to cross a bridge to get into the city. So you either go in a tunnel or go a bridge to New York City, and then if you want to go to the other areas, there's Brooklyn. Everybody's like Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and the Bronx. So I would think
Oh,
I would think in
Staten
my
Island.
head
Heard that.
most everybody has heard of these.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I think the Staten Island's the one I've heard of the least. Which one? Where were the Twin Towers?
and they're in Manhattan.
Okay.
They're right in the city itself. Yeah.
I-
Now all these other the other four boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, the Bronx, have it's a big community. There's a huge area, but Manhattan is the one with like the lights and the skyscrapers. That's what you
Yeah, it sounds like that's
visualize
the one
when you think of New
everyone-
York.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
goes to. I've heard of Staten Island,
Yeah.
don't know what's there. The Bronx is like the ghetto. I think Brooklyn is maybe sounds like the ghetto. What was the last one?
The Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens.
Queens. I think
Yeah.
that's
It's a big
mid-ghetto.
community.
I don't know. I actually don't know much about Queens either, but I feel like
I have to say I have not really visited them. I've been to Staten Island and I've been to Brooklyn, I think, a couple times. But there's a lot. There's so many people that live there, and there's so many communities that kind of are represented in those areas, and a lot of them commute to New York City, like Manhattan. They'll commute like through tunnels or the ferries or however they get in there. But it is chaos. It is. I mean, if you've ever seen like Times Square, like when they do the ball drop, like just the amount of people that can fit in that space is massive. And then when you're on there on foot, you look around and you realize like how many thousands of people smushed together. It's off-putting. I won't go to the city for New Year's Eve.
yeah.
It's not my thing.
We
It's
were
too many
at-
people. I don't want them touching me. I'm like, "Ugh."
We were at a music
just-
festival recently and we saw like the venue with like just a few people, and then like later on when the show was full, and it's like it's insane. And we were in one of the crowds when like everyone was like squished so close, like you could breathe, but squished so close that we were kind of like this, and I was like, this is uncomfortable. And it felt like, at least when you were outside of it, you could tell there were a shit ton of people, but when you were in it,
Oh yeah.
it felt like I wouldn't be able to get out of here if I tried.
No.
Like, it's
No.
crazy.
There's no flight. Yeah. If there's an emergency, yeah. See that now that I'm older, I think of things like that. Like I can't get out of here. And if I'm by myself, it's one thing. If you're like, all right, I'll figure it out. But if you have like, I try not to do things where it was so tightly packed with my daughters when they were younger, just because I'm like, how am I going to get them out of here? So it was the fight or flight was always real. And especially after 9/11. So it's just always like, oh.
I mean, more
it was tough.
people is always just
Yeah.
more of a chance of like some fucking weirdo being around
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, and unfortunately, yeah, New York City's full of
Yeah.
crazy people. Like there's just
Yeah.
well, it's just a dense amount of people, and that the amount, and I'll say, given the past few years, the amount of mentally ill, the amount of homeless, it's has grown exponentially, and it's hard to walk around New York City sometimes without seeing that, and it's sad. It's hard to walk by someone sleeping on the street. Like I can't tune that. I don't see that. Like by me, I'm more suburban community, and we don't. It's not. You don't see it around here. Like people hide in the woods or sleep. However, but in the city, they're everywhere, and it's so hard to walk past. Like how do you walk past dozens of people asking for money every day? And after a while, I guess you just don't see them or you tune it out. But it breaks my heart. I have a hard time doing that.
That
Like,
kind
it's
of,
just,
that's kind of, well, it's not funny, but I've kind of, just tuned it out at some point. I used to live kind of right outside of the Houston area, but it was close enough to like the city to where I guess some homeless people found their way out. And found their way out. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but I mean, they found their way a little towards, away from the city. And so there's this, I mean, I pass them all the time on the way to work in the morning, and I gave this like couple like food every once in a while and stuff, and water and stuff. That's when I kind of also cared more, but I mean, it's so messed up because it's like I see
it's not that you don't
a
care
lot
more.
now.
It's just it's hard to do it.
Yeah, and I see a lot now, and I'm also like, okay, first of all, I don't have cash to give. Second of all, I don't have water on hand. And third of all, it's just like, I don't know. It's not like, it's not like I don't care. It's just like, it could be
It's
worse.
overwhelming.
Like if they were actually like
overwhelming,
a
yeah.
lot of the people I see too, I don't know if New York City would be different, but this sounds messed up. They also seem like they're in relatively good health. They don't seem all like busted and on drugs, at least in my area.
No, they are.
So yeah, we have tame homeless people over here, I guess is what I would like to call it. Which is good. They don't mess with you, they don't get in your face or anything like that. Every once in a while there's like a person that everyone knows like is on drugs and they're like popular in the
Mentally ill,
community,
yeah.
like, you
It's
know, the
tough,
guy that
yeah.
walks down the street and does this and like fights nothing or something. It's like, yeah, because none of the other homeless people do that, so that's why we know that guy. So maybe I'm just like,
It's unfortunate they stand out, yeah.
yeah, and I don't know, I think that's it. But yeah, definitely in I visited another area that had a more, they weren't crazy, but a more in your face homeless community, and I just kind of walked away. I was just like, and so I think it's like, it's either, at least I'm like, they looks like they're doing okay ish, or it looks like they're crazy and I really don't want to help them. So I just at this point don't, because sorry, I'm going off.
No, I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
you have to think of your safety, your personal safety. It's at this point, it's, you know, people are like, oh, you should care about everyone and, you know, walk around and hand out sandwiches, but it's not always that easy, and, you know, and you don't know who you're encountering. You can't just walk up to somebody. I mean, on a regular day, like if someone just walked up to you, you'd be like, oh, like it would be off-putting, have a stranger just walk up to you for whatever reason. And, you know, and unfortunately, again, with the mentally ill, the mental health crisis is huge. And then add drugs into it. I mean, there's parts of, in fact, my girlfriend from Michigan had come out again this past month. We went over to Philly, and it's sad. It's sad. There's parts of Philly like you just don't go to. And I'm not that familiar with Philadelphia where I do that. But even as we were getting ready to leave, we passed, there was a lot of homeless on the streets, people begging for money. And, you know, I mean, what do you do? Like, you just have to walk by them. You just have to.
I also think I've come across the scamming people too, and I also get afraid. I don't want to, if I do give someone money, I don't want it to be scams. Like, me and my family were on a road trip holding the sign and our car broke down and we need money. Or the football team, that's the kids football team where they get the kids out there and they say their bus broke
canning
down
and stuff. Yeah.
money.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's always a way.
That was actually happening, but at least that happened to me once. It was like, yeah, we were going to our football game and our bus broke down and we're from another state. I'm like, this sounds a little fishy.
So we're begging in the streets. That's odd. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
But
Look, kids are sympathetic. They'll send them out. You know, people feel sorry for kids more than anything else.
There was one good homeless experience I had. I guess like I don't really like talk to homeless people a lot too, but I was like getting water from one of those machines or something. There's this guy out and he was just being friendly and talking, so I didn't want to ignore him. So I'm like, okay, hey, what's up? And we started talking. He's telling me his life story and he likes drawing. So I went into like the Dollar General or whatever and I got him a pad of paper and a pen and dog food because he had a dog, and dog food for him to eat. No, I'm just kidding. You know, a dog, you know, whatever, like a tuna.
Somebody ate it, right?
Yeah. And so I got all this and I brought it out to him. And of course I was thinking like, okay, if I was homeless, what would I want? I got like, or what would I need? So I got like, I think like a gallon of water and baby wipes, supposedly like baby wipe. I mean, that makes sense. You don't have anywhere to shower. So baby wipes are
clean yourself off.
good.
Yeah.
So I brought it out to him. I spent like $34. At that time, I actually didn't have too much money. So like I had money, but I was like, I can't really like be spending $34 all the time on people, but I was like, whatever. So I got him that and he was like very grateful. We were just talking and it was cool to see him and everything and like be like, okay, you know, at least like I know I'm not, you know, he did seem a little like, not like he was on drugs or anything. He seemed a little maybe a little dumb, like, dude, or like something. But he's like, I was riding my bike and a car hit me, and so
Oh my
after that,
God.
like everything went downhill. I'm like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. So, but yeah, I'm like,
Well, it
well,
worked. You got your first, but you notice it's like you didn't turn over cash. And I've been approached a few times, and at convenience stores or something, and a couple times I'm like, all right, you know what, I'll buy. You want a sandwich? And they're like, yeah. So I like went in and bought sandwich, coffee, water, like a few things, and then came out and gave it to them because I would personally feel better handing out food, or if they needed like a particular supply or something that I could help with, that would it sits better because sometimes if you just hand people cash, you don't know what you're using it for. And
yep.
and it's not my place to tell somebody how they spend the cash that I donate. Like if I'm giving you cash, I can't go, well, don't spend it on this. I'm like, once it's out of my hands, it's out of my hands. So,
Yep.
and that with that kind of donation, I think that's kind of shitty. But you just hope for the best. You really hope you made a difference, a little bit of a difference. And you probably made that guy's day. I mean, you made a big difference in his life and his dog. You know,
Yep.
good for you.
Yeah, I
Good
haven't
job.
seen him since. But I did feel okay. So this is where it's kind of fucked up, though. I did all that and I was nice, but then I felt like I didn't want him to keep asking me for stuff, so I stopped getting water there and I started going somewhere
I get that. You also don't want to be a mark for someone either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, also, like, I told him my name, not like my full name or anything, but, because
Just
I
at your
didn't want to
door,
seem
yeah.
like, I'm genuine, so I didn't want to just give him a fake name or anything, and I think at one point it was kind of weird. He was like, I think he was just trying to make conversation, but it came off like,
Right.
more like, where do you live or something, so I was just like, down the
Yeah.
street, whatever, and then he's like, yeah, I can always, if you have the tools, I can mow your lawn and stuff. Yeah, keep that in mind. But I'm just like,
I gotta go. Yeah,
like,
you look at your
yeah,
watch
yeah.
that you're not wearing.
I
Gotta
was
leave. Yeah.
there by myself. I think I'm like making sure to mention my boyfriend or whatever like that. And yeah, but he didn't seem like aggressive or anything. But it's like every once
Right.
in a while, it's like,
You
it's
never know
nice.
till you ask either.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe she's tied in with a company that could help me out. Who knows? Like, could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously made an impression. You still remember him.
Yeah,
You know?
and the reason I felt like, I don't know if his like work ethic or whatever, like if he's actually trying or what, but you're not gonna know that when you just meet someone. But he was talking about the one thing that's holding him up from getting a job inside the Dollar General that he was sitting outside of was he lost his identification, and he can't do anything without that. And he like, I know about the process. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, all you need to go do, if you have like
Yeah.
$35, you can just get your ID or whatever. Just go. But he doesn't have the transportation, obviously, to get to the office.
Right.
So it's like, so I was thinking about, well, is there a way
You
I
get lost in
could-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like,
Oh.
if I get an Uber and then like put him in there and then like, then it's like, it's just too much. I'm like, he's got to figure that out. So he said he knew people, like he knew someone
There you go.
with a trailer and stuff like that. Like, I'll live
Oh
with
my
him once I
goodness.
get a
Yeah.
job. So it's like, okay, it's not like he doesn't know anyone. So that makes me feel a little better. But I kind of have more, not like I'm putting myself above others, but I kind of, would probably have more stuff to lose if I did anything further and helped him out than maybe his friends he already knew that had a trailer. Not like a trailer's bad, but I was thinking of.
Well, it gets to the point where it's like you there's only so much you can do at the level you were to do, and you know what, and you did a phenomenal thing. You made a big difference for him, and that's great. And the fact he was able to talk to you and you didn't treat him like a piece of trash is amazing. And then hopefully he was able to utilize his friends and get himself organized and together where he could get identification or get a job. And it's tough. It's you have to. People can get lost down those rabbit holes very easily, and it's just you got to fight your way out of it. It's tough. And it's easy for me to sit here and say that, like, well, you just got to snap out of it. It takes more than that sometimes, but hopefully he was able to do so.
Yeah. I need to do a good deed this year. I don't know if I have yet. That was last year, so my time's ticking. I have about almost a month and a half.
Holidays are
left.
coming. Holidays are coming.
Yeah.
Food drive,
Honestly,
gifts, angel trees. Yeah.
speaking about me being like terrible to homeless people, there was. I mean, I was good that one time, but just straight
I'm
up
terrible.
ignoring them. I could
Mhm.
volunteer. That would be a good idea because one year, I think it was like in high school.
Mhm.
I've never volunteered, by the way.
Oh,
So I think my friends are
that's a
like,
big thing in my house. Yeah, we do that.
I probably should, but unless I'm like forced to by the the police for some reason. But
You know
yeah,
what? You find the right thing.
I
It
know.
catches you. Yeah.
I did think. I mean, I understand that it's good to volunteer and help people out, but how I saw it is, I'm understanding more as I get older. Yeah, okay, I'll take my time. I'll donate my
Mhm.
time. That makes sense. But when I was younger, like in high school more specifically, I'm like, volunteer, you don't like get paid for it or anything. And
Yeah.
so
Oh,
one year
like,
all my friends were
yeah.
like, we're gonna go feed the homeless on Thanksgiving. I forgot about this. Oh my god. And then basically like last minute I was like
Core memory.
I can't and I really just didn't want
I have to eat Thanksgiving dinner. I can't go.
Yeah. I was like, oh, sorry. Like, I just like don't have the gas money or something like that to go over there. But I,
It's hard. It's
oh,
some people. You have to find when you're ready. You'll find the level of volunteering that works for you,
mm-hmm,
and it may not be like you're ladling soup into a bowl.
mm-hmm,
Some people that's too. I'll say it might be too personal for them. That might be they're uncomfortable with that.
mm-hmm,
But there's so many volunteer opportunities in so many ways where you don't have to interact with people, or you could do something on your own. Um, so I was a Girl Scout leader for both my daughters. So for 17 years, I was a Girl Scout leader for two troops. At one point, they were concurrent. So it was like I would
oh
do
my
one daughter's
gosh,
meeting, then the next day I would do the next daughter's meeting. And the bonus is within those two troops, I had like three or four sets of sisters that
mm-hmm,
were within both troops. So I had the older sister and the younger sister. So it made things a lot easier. But we would do things like because we lived near the beach, and Hurricane Sandy, I'm sure you remember that, but hit our shoreline terribly, terribly. One of the big things they do every year is plant dune grass, which helps keep keeping the dunes, keeps the sand, it maintains the beach, and it keeps the houses, keeps the water from essentially wiping out houses. Now, Hurricane Sandy destroyed a lot of that. So, but one of the things we used to do every year was we do like community dune grass planting. So we'd go and plant dune grass, or we would do community food drives, or just any. We actually worked with the Boy Scouts, helping them with their food drives. And it was just anything we used to go. Actually, one of the biggest things we did, and this one was actually very difficult for me. So it was a big challenge. We would play bingo once a month in like a nursing home.
that
So
sounds
we would
so
go to
fun.
yeah, and they had the whole setup. They had like because
What?
they have their own little recreation things
Yeah.
going on. So we would come in and the girls would help the seniors, and they were not, it was not like just it's cute little old grandma. It was they were not well, they're in wheelchairs and
Oh.
not
Okay,
100%.
that
So
is actually, yeah. You don't know if
it was a
you'll
little
like go there
challenging. They
next
weren't.
month and they'll be alive still.
Yeah, sometimes they weren't,
Okay.
and sometimes we would come back and they weren't there. And the girls
Oh
so yeah,
no. Okay,
it
yeah,
was
that's
no,
sad.
so for me
Oh,
as the adult, much closer to these seniors ages,
yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to be this way. But it was important for the girls to like, kind of give back, and in that way, and what we used to do, we used to bring prizes. So when the little old ladies and little old men would win their bingo, we had a prize cart, and they would come by, and we had stuff on it like yarn because they would knit, or the little tchotchkes that they could take and give to like their grandkids that would visit them and things like that. So and that was tough. And we did that I did that with both of my girls' troops, and we did that probably for like 3 years. And then it got to the point where the girls like they didn't want to go back because once you realize like who's not coming out to bingo, like it sunk in a
No.
bit. Yeah, and it was tough, but they were always so happy to see the girls. Yeah, we had a good time. It was heartbreaking, but it was a feel good but sad all
Mhm.
at the same time. But again, it could be for an animal show. It could be anything you want to do. So,
Yeah.
but
Maybe
you
I
have
should
to.
maybe I should do that to toughen myself up. I feel like I need to get more tough these days. I've gotten a little bit weak. Just like,
Weak.
oh
No.
no, Ethel
Well,
isn't
again,
gonna be here next week. I know she's going through
yeah.
some
Well,
stuff.
yeah.
No,
You'll
no.
find what gets you. Like if
Mhm,
there's something that you deeply believe in,
mhm,
I think that would be for me it was just to kind of share things with my girls and their friends and teach them a lot of civic like engagement and community engagement. You live here, you benefit from this.
mhm,
Not everybody has it. Not to bring the room down, but not everybody has these amazing things that we have, or
mhm,
there's people who need help here, or there's animals that we need to assist.
mhm.
So we did like a towel drive, like people, get rid of their old towels. Well, the animal shelter needs them.
Yep.
So we would collect like bags of towels, and we would
Oh.
do big group crafts for like, 25, 35, 45 different Girl Scout troops. And they would make like, 150 crafts, and we'd bring them to the Meals on Wheels people,
Mhm,
that kind of thing. So it was kind of, you find what you want.
mhm,
And I exposed the girls to, it sounds terrible. I exposed the girls to a lot of different things community wise.
mhm,
And they now volunteer and give back. So I think it
mhm.
makes me, it's the warm and fuzzy. Like I did something right as a parent,
Yeah,
but
that's
um
awesome. Yeah,
it's good to think that way.
I
Starts
only
at the
figured
community
out
level.
until recently, like the the benefit for yourself you get from it. So
Hmm.
that's where I'm kind of like, like I
I like
think
the
that's
Grinch. Your
also,
heart grows.
yeah. I think also just like stuff. I I keep saying Jesus, I'm stuck in a loop.
It's okay.
I keep calling it stuck in a loop when I keep repeating the same thing. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I've been talking about sense of community sort of thing, whether it be like helping people that are less fortunate or just in general giving to.
Hmm.
So I think that's probably something I should look into because yeah, before I'm like, it's just like, what's the point? And not like, what's the point? I understood the
Right.
point was to get, but I don't think I don't like doing stuff unless I truly like feel something about it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
So
A
like
lot of
if I
people feel
don't
that way.
really
Yeah.
feel anything giving someone a bowl of soup, then like is it
Right.
meaningful? It's not really that meaningful. Whereas now if I gave someone a bowl of soup, I'd feel way better about it. Like, oh yeah, I've given them
Right.
food. I would actually probably feel better if I made the soup. But it's like stuff like
Right.
that. But where it's like, okay, I like just put together this little chicken noodle soup and I'm the one who actually got all of it. I'm not just like here like putting it in a bowl for you or something like that. But yeah, I think that's awesome. That's good you can see your outcome like within your
Yeah.
children, like the outcome within your children, like they actually learned something. Yeah. Like
Yeah. And it's funny because I do see it in some of the other I'll call my old Girl Scouts, but who are now like your age and older, and it's not depressing, but I'm like, they're growing up. My babies are not my
no.
babies because I see them and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like adults, and they do some of the things they've been doing have been amazing, and I'm just so proud of them, and I don't take credit for that. They did that on their own, and their parents helped them, and we had one family I think started like they wanted to do a food drive in the community like for Thanksgiving dinners, so they started out and they would put together like they got 20 dinners. Now they're up to 300. They put they then this it's sad the need is there, but it's amazing they can do it.
Mhm.
So it's something small that they started that's out of their hearts, like they wanted to be a part of it, and it grows. So it's you'll know what you want to do when you find it, and it like hits right in your heart. That's
Mhm.
doesn't sound too cheesy. It's going to be
Yeah.
something that matters to you, and you're like, I want to make a difference. And it could even be like environmental. Like I know a lot of people who they don't want to deal with, like homelessness or elder care or that bothers them, but they want to make a difference in the community. They want to plant flowers or do a community garden or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me in a garden. I'm gonna start killing everything. Every time someone mentions like, oh, like you want to part of this, I don't know how flowers overgrow and they like take it apart and start doing it elsewhere. Like people have offered me the
Mm.
parts of the flower, and I'm
Oh,
like,
like they
I'm gonna
like
kill
split
that
them and
thing.
transplant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, You probably have better
I want a
luck just
garden.
throwing it on the side of
Yeah.
the road. Like,
I might have a better chance of surviving.
really? Yeah, I'm gonna kill that thing. I could do everything in my power to do it. Like, not. Yeah, I try to like not overwater, not underwater. There's a set of like, I don't know if they were mums. They were a very cheap yellow flower I got from Home Depot or something. Kind of like roughly. But I think they're really easy to take care of. It's like they just need a shit ton of sunlight. And I think I was like doing okay, but I guess I was gonna say so bad, but I guess I'm so good of falling out of habits to where I was just like,
I get that.
a month went by and it was perfect. And you know, they say after 22 whatever days, it should
Develop
be
the
a habit.
habit.
But guess what? At that point, I would just like throw it out. I develop it, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not interested.
You get
So,
bored.
Yeah,
You get bored.
I was like,
Yeah.
same
I get
thing.
bored.
And then at that
Totally
point, you have
get
to
it.
start pulling out the weeds and stuff, and it looks nice when you pull it out. But it's a lot of work, and it's like I just want to water it and have it grow. I don't want to have to do all the other strings attached things with growing fucking flowers.
Just want it to grow. I don't give a
Yes.
crap about anything else. Yeah.
It's
Just be pretty.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, all
Yeah,
the things
I
with
get
all
that.
those strings attached, it's too much. It's like, okay, like you've been in your habit of watering it, but now like 20 days is up and you realize there's so many weeds, and it's like, I'm not in the habit of fucking pulling out the weeds. Ah.
I can water it. I don't want to keep
Yeah,
it. Keep it up.
Exactly. Too difficult.
This flower ain't gonna weed itself. Yeah, I get that. I'm totally the same way. I have like 100% gung ho. Like I'm gonna have a garden this year. I can't wait. And then I plant them, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta water them every day. And I'm like, all right, go out and water them every day. And like you said, after 20, 25 days, you think it'd be a habit, and then I'm like, I'm so bored. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm late for work. I missed watering this, and then oh, I forgot to do it at night. Then all of a sudden, now it's been like 5 days. I haven't watered my garden. It's all brown. I'm like, oh, I killed everything. I spent too much money keeping this going. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
Gardening also,
I-
especially if it's out, like if you're doing it outside, not inside, of course, it'll be up to the elements to decide what stays and
Yes.
what goes. So especially like, this isn't gardening, but like doing the lawn. Like we've been in one house my adult life where I've had to do the lawn myself. And, you know, before that we had the guys come do it for $20, but now everyone's charging like $60 just for simple
Yeah.
models. So I'm like, I'm
20
not
bucks
gonna-
is not.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay $60 anyway. So I'm like, okay, great. Wintertime, nothing grows. I didn't know like this was an actual thing. For some reason, I thought it was a myth.
Right.
But nothing grows in the wintertime. You don't have to freaking mow it for months. And then it's like, okay, so that's good. I don't have to do this anymore. And then I had to get into, again, the habit of mowing because it's like, that it like grows a freaking inch a day when it's not freaking cold outside. And I hate that. It is the worst. I hate lawns.
It's like a weekly.
yes.
Like if at the most every other week, you have to do it.
Yeah, it's
Insane.
bad. It is so bad, especially when you're in just a gross, moist environment,
Wow.
and then you have a stupid.
You're in an especially
shrub.
warm area.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you gotta trim the stupid shrub because where you're renting has an HOA, and you have to. It's so,
Oh, you definitely have to stay on that then.
it's so they're not a
Yeah.
strict HOA, but it was more like the renter's place was like, we're gonna do an inspection, and then they're like, you
Oh,
need to
the
trim your
worst. Yeah.
shrub. My mom said
Oh.
my mom said the lower income rental places usually do inspections. I'm like, okay, thanks for telling me. But she's right because that's the only place we've had inspections. So
Oh my goodness.
We had
Yeah,
terrible-
it's tough. It's challenging for sure.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
keeping up. I've been trying to read another habit I fell out of. I don't know, some of my
Mhm.
stuff comes in like huge I don't know what you I can't think of the word. You know, it comes like big waves, like once a year, like for a whole year, like a span of 6 months or something. But like this lasted like
Okay.
a month and a half. I was just have not finished but like 2 books in my adult life. And
Okay.
the past month or so, I've just been picking up books from the thrift store and I've been reading, and I bought like 5 more
That's
books
awesome.
and I'm going to be reading. Yes. And I'm like, okay, the thing is, I don't actually finish that. I start and then like I get halfway through and then I do another one. So I finished one so far, and then I was all in this, and now I have all these like 5 to 7 books, whatever, and then I just stopped. I was like, but there's this
Just
book.
get bored, or is it
Yeah,
like they're not
well,
catching your eye, or you're just like,
I'm
man, I
like,
don't care.
when I pick it up and start reading, it's good. I'm going, but I don't know. I just
Distracted.
once I stop,
Yeah.
I just don't think about it, and then I'm like, okay, or like, oh yeah, I should read during my lunch break, and then my lunch break comes and I forget about it, and then I just don't do it for a long time and stuff. So
Right.
yesterday I finally picked up the book again that I was going to read, and it's about habits. So hopefully that's the one I need to finish.
If you don't finish it, that's so ironic.
Yes. If I don't finish it, then I have a thing with that one too. I told my friend, I said, do you want this book after I'm done with it? They said yes. I'm like, okay, good. So I'm giving myself, I will have to read one book this month and one book next month. And they're not huge books. They're like 200, 300 page long books. But I said, okay, that's my time frame to get this one done. So at least if I don't finish one of those books per month, I said, I'm finishing this at the end of the year and I'm sending this book to you. So,
There you go.
so
It's good. You set like this has to go to the friend,
yes,
so I'm gonna
yes.
finish this book now. Yeah, it's tough for me. Reading has been it was a passion. I love to read, and I feel like I have slowly dropped that passion. Like I see the books out. I'm like, oh, I want to read that, and then I don't pick them up, or I don't grab them from the library, or however you grab them. And I'm not a digital reader. Like I don't like to read on a tablet. I like to hold the book. But it's just like there's something. I've lost my love for it. Like it's always going to be like I've always loved to read, but it's like I've lost I gotta read tonight. Like I don't have that, and it's like social media has really gotten in the way of that for me. Like I'm constantly surfing social, and I don't need to. I don't need to do that. But why am I doing that? But it's I think I need to consciously make it a point to put the phone down, or close the laptop and really try to get back into reading. It's I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it's like odd that I just don't. It's something I love to do all the time, and then it's just I kind of let it go. So I feel like I have to like train myself back to do it.
I feel
it's
like
bizarre.
I have motives that are like, it's funny you said embarrassing, because I guess that's like a lot of people like claim they're readers and stuff, and like whenever people mention that and they try to talk to me about it, like even the most simple books that I probably should have read, I haven't. So like I get embarrassed because I'm like I have no idea what's going on. And then oh gosh, what was the other part? There's another part to that I think just because like one of my motives to actually read is like I think also why I started being in that whole phase was like, okay, I know words. I need to expand my vocabulary though, because but I know a lot more words too, I swear. But it's also the thing too, I just like simply forget a word exists, so I just use the simple version. And I don't there's not a lot of times where my sentences I speak very simply, I guess is what it is. So there's not a lot of variety in my sentences. So I'm like, well, I need to like
Your point comes across. Yeah,
it
that's
does,
okay.
which is good. It's like good, especially like because I'm like I'm doing this whole thing right now.
Clear.
I'm calling
Well,
it
you're concise to the point. You're
yes,
to the point.
yes.
And that's not a bad thing. Just because somebody knows, and I just interrupted you. I'm so
no,
sorry.
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Just because someone knows a lot of big words doesn't mean they know what they're talking about all the time.
Oh
So
my gosh, yes, Jesus Christ. Sorry, man. Some people
tell
I
you.
talk. Oh man, some of the people I talk to who are the most dumb fucking into it. I'm just like, how? Like, how do I not know that word and you do? First of all, and second, like, why are you don't sound right saying that. But the point is, I guess that is actually good that I speak in simple terms because I want to. I keep saying I want to be a teacher. I don't want to be a school teacher, but I want to do something, or I want to be a mentor,
Instruct?
I guess,
Yeah.
help people out,
Huh.
instruct people.
There you go.
I guess it's like a very broad thing because I don't have a specific job title, and I keep going through these phases where I'm like, I know what I want to do. I want to do IT stuff, and I'm like, now if I get any more advanced in the IT stuff, that's gonna be really stressful. I'm trying to play into my strengths, is what it is. So like,
Right.
I'm good at IT
Excellent.
stuff, and I can learn it, but if I know how to do something more naturally, like speak in simple terms and explain difficult concepts to people and they understand, then okay, I could be an IT instructor. But how many jobs are open for that? Not a lot of jobs. So I need to like kind of like
Maybe
broaden it.
supervisor. You could still move up and
True.
be more of a supervisor for move up in management.
Give me some
There you
ideas.
go.
Yeah, I was thinking about like management roles. I'm like, okay, I could be a mentor, stuff like that. I don't know what my original point was, but there's all that information that I'm just
Interesting. Well, that could be your thing as something for your future. You could mentor younger professionals coming in.
yeah, something I can
because if
volunteer
you
for with.
well, no, you want to get paid. If it's at your job, you want to get paid for that. You want that as part of your
Yeah,
job
I
or
guess.
something.
You can
But
put volunteer work on your resume. I think in my
Absolutely.
area, volunteer work would actually be very good. We're a very community oriented
for-
place.
It would show that you are a well-rounded employee. Like I saw it a lot. My girls both were in the honor society, national honor societies, and a lot of the college applications. They want to know your service hours. Like they want to know how much you're doing. And it's funny because I'm involved in so much that when my girls were in school, I knew all their friends and all the classes, and I was that parent, not that parent, but I was like, I was involved in a lot of things between scouts and volunteering and with many different organizations in our town. Kids would come to me and ask me to sign off on their service hours. And I was like, of course. So it got to the point where the the teacher who was in charge of organizing all these kids' service hours called me. He's like, I see your name a lot. I'm like, I do a lot. I'm like, I sign them regarding as Girl Scouts. I'm involved in their community organizations. I'm involved with people who did stuff for Sandy. I'm involved. So I would rattle things off. And he's like, all right, because I think he was just curious, like why some mom just keeps signing her name on things. And then I guess he realized, like, oh, you do a lot of shit in this area.
Oh,
So yeah, I was probably representing 6 different organizations. It's because that's who I was involved with, and it got to one point that's where I was. But to get back to it, like to dial back to where I was going, on their college applications, they would ask how many service hours they were. They asked if there was any accomplishments or anything, like if you were a Boy Scout, if you got your Eagle Award, if you were a Girl Scout, if you got your Gold Award. That shows them that you're committed to something. So that it's always good to see. You may not be the top of the top. You may not be that number one kid in your class, but if you're number 40 or 50 or whatever, but you have good grades, good attendance, and you volunteer and you're well-rounded, they look at that. The top kids are always going to get somewhere. It's the middle kids you got to look at. And me, like, is one over the other. Like it puts the, you got a kid who does great, but then you got a kid who does great and does work in the community and like maybe works a part-time job or what, like, how do you level one kid over the other? And that sometimes does it. But same for employment. I knew a girl who had gone through, and that what got her job was the fact she had her Girl Scout Gold Award.
Aw,
Because
that's awesome.
that person who interviewed her was also a Girl Scout leader
Oh,
and knew the amount of time and work that goes into that project and knew that she was able to dedicate her time. And that pushed her over the edge.
that's
for-
awesome. Yeah, I've
yeah.
been I've been going through like a lot of things. I think like trying to build myself also within the past 3 months, and I've been wanting to do it all at the same time. So it's been very crazy. Another thing is like, although I have a job, I'm thinking of networking in like my 5-year, 10-year plan. It's not gonna go as planned. It's very loose, but I think like the thing is like, yes, I wanted to be involved in the community, have like know people. I was thinking about siloing myself, like I'll only work this type of job, something like that. But I think I'll have to keep it up to, whatever's available over here. But yeah, I was reading like networking stuff about networking. And yeah, I mean, it's not, you're
It's
not
good
supposed to
though.
let biases,
Yeah,
play into like when you
right.
hire and stuff. But I mean, people, yeah, what you just said, if someone knows how much work that goes into, whether like if I say I got the CompTIA Security Plus, like I don't know if you know what that is, but if you don't know what that is, you wouldn't know if it's a lot of work or a little work. And that's,
Right.
like, I mean, have the recruiter will know like if that's good or bad, but that's like a certification
Exactly.
I've gotten, so that's an example I'm using, and that is one of the harder certifications to get. Not like super hard, but you do have to put a lot of time into it, whereas
Shows your
then if I said
dedication.
the
Yeah.
Girl Scout thing, it's like, oh, already. So I think that's where I'm like, I need to get out and network, not become a Girl Scout at this point, which I was never a Girl Scout. I think my sister was. My mom didn't
Hmm.
put me in a lot of extracurriculars, but I'm just going to say that's because I was the middle child, but that's all right.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry, Jan Brady there.
yeah, and also like the
It's
one time I did sports as a kid, I was like in gymnastics, and then the place like just had mold, and then so we stopped, and I
yeah.
wasn't in anything for the longest time because
Right.
of whatever reason. But
No,
but yeah,
that
it's
stinks.
crazy how
It's tough.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, going
No, no,
everywhere
no.
right now. It's just crazy how much like um I knew my mom, like she knows a lot of people, but because she does a lot of things, but I'm like, oh, I would think that would come more naturally, but I guess I'm a slow learner, like life learner, I guess that is, because I didn't realize like when you left high school. I went to college for 1 year. I don't really say it was much, but like, I know everyone leaves, whatever, but like people in college still aren't as open to connecting. You have to still be in different things and be involved. Like people are just there to kind
Yeah.
of learn in your classes. And that's when you start going into the other things like your clubs or your whatever outside events, where that's where people are willing to connect more rather than like, oh, we're stuck in the same class. Like I'm just here to get my work done sort of thing. So I think now I'm finally figuring out, and I've only done that 1 year of school, and now I'm starting to take some classes separately just as I go. I'm like, okay, well, now this gives me a chance to at least like know the area I'm in a little more, because I don't live where I grew up in, and meet people and network and build good habits and finish this book and fucking do all this
And go to school and
yes
go a job
yes yeah I
and do
think
podcasts. Yes,
it's
all of that.
although no one
Yeah.
knows about podcasts, but I think it's even just like showing your face, because like I've started to learn, like going to some events at my last job, we started to learn a little more, and a lot of it's like, oh, this university's hosting this event, or this local thing is hosting this for our specific job, and these names kept popping up that are familiar, and then I started connecting with them on LinkedIn. I'm like, okay, I have a good start,
Smart girl.
but I want to change my mind as to like what direction I'm going. But at least my name will be in some people's, ear. They'll know who I am.
But that's the game. That's the game.
Yeah.
It's not just like, you go to an old fashioned networking event, you pay $20 at the door and everybody just hands out business cards. It's more, it's connecting. The best connections that you'll make are your like coworkers, professors, like anybody that if you have a teacher or instructor that you connect with, like continue with that. Like the best thing would be is to, email them after you've done your classes, thank the teacher for their time, make sure they have your contact info. Say, are you teaching anything else? Are you, I'd love for you to, and you can flat out ask for recommendations or suggestions that sometimes and teachers, at least the instructors that I've always, had discussion with, appreciated that. They want the students to reach, like that shows you're interested in it. They knew you through the class well enough and they go, I can vouch for her. I know what she can do. That's a win. And it's all those connections. They all build up down the road, and it may not be right now. It might be in like a year or two. It'd be like, oh, you know what? I remember that girl from my class. She would be perfect for this. I still have her contact info. Let me reach out.
Yeah.
So connect on LinkedIn, that's the way to do it.
I think
It really is.
It's so funny because that's exactly like how I was thinking about it as I've learned, like, because this past year is kind of when I started, because I was looking for a new job at the beginning of the year. So I kind of started doing that stuff a little bit more. And then it did come down the road to the fact that like now I'm at a new job, and it's because like I connected with these people too. But like it's so funny because like people don't state, there's so many things people don't state so plainly, but it's only taken all this time for me to figure it out. But I mean, I really haven't looked for, well, I've looked for jobs before, but I don't think I've done this angle yet, and I didn't realize how beneficial it was. And also you have, again, more connections for other things. Also, now I'm in a new job, so I'll meet more people and stuff like that. But even just in general, like, it'll be connections for jobs. It'll be like, now I have friends that I actually hang out with outside of work who are actually my friends, because it's hard to make friends in your adult life. You know, all of my friends are usually
It's challenging for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, especially
Coworkers.
too when I don't have kids. So like I'm sure like you had the thing where it's like, oh, our kids are on a play date, and you know, even if you don't really like them, at least you'll kind of have someone to talk to, hang out with, wine chat or whatever, you know, whatever parents old people do.
What's old folks do. Yeah. It's challenging to I'll say make friends as an adult. And I found like I'll compare it to like when you're in school, like your friends that you go to school with, like you probably don't hang out with them anymore because they were the friends that you had in school. Like you guys were all shoved in the same place and you kind of found your people there. You know, like I'm Facebook friends with people I went to high school with, but like we don't hang out. Like not that I don't care, but I don't care. Like, you know, now I see him as an adult. I'm like, ugh, you're terrible. Like, I'm glad we don't hang out. But it was the same situation with your kids. Like now, like when my daughters went through, you know, scouts, school, whatever they were involved in, they found friends through that. So you kind of had to connect with the parents. Because like, you know, oh, I'm best friends with, you know, Elizabeth, whatever. Well, now I got to talk to Elizabeth's mom, and we would hang out and stuff, but we never, you're friendly with them because of your daughters. Yep. And then once that split up, it's like poof, gone. Like it was smoke. You know, and it was, and let me tell you what, moms are bitchy. There are some shitty moms out there. It's like the high school drama never ends.
Oh gosh.
Some of the moms, and they just continue. Yeah, they continued it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Moms are like a whole different, I mean, there's some like, really. I don't know if it's like, I don't know what it is. There's some that are, they give me good doses and good amounts of information about their kids, and that's it. They mention them, and I know their kids' names. There's some moms who, again, are a little bit much, and I know everything about their life, and they cannot shut up about their kids. And I'm like, okay, be quiet. And then they bring all their little like attitude into work sometimes. You know, maybe this is a little too specific, but I don't think anyone's gonna, I don't know, we'll figure it out down the road.
Well, they take their kids' issues and make it their own. That, like, it's the drama is so ridiculous. It's like, stop.
And they're just like, I don't know, some people are just like, as a mom, they seem like 10 times more dramatic. I don't know if that's like they just bring these like dumb I don't know if it's like a woman thing or if it's a mom thing, but I've only experienced this with the moms. They just make something so dramatic at work for no reason. It's like, you just gotta, they're beating around the bush is what it is. Like, come on, just tell me what do you want to say? Like, it's like, why are we keeping information? We're not like your 10-year-old daughter who you can't tell this to. So I don't know, but
it is challenging. I have 2 daughters, and and at one point in the house it was very tense because it's just 3 females, you know, and my poor husband was like, all right, I'm just leaving, you know, like he just would go out like, I'm gone. But it's challenging. And then girls, you know, girls are not nice, you know, girls are mean. Girls are mean, and it's like the mean girls grow up to be mean moms.
Hey, everybody, don't you know they gave Mariah money, now they're on the show. Let's hear all the footballers' names. Hey, give her money.
We're giving a shout out this week to, let's start with the fourth wallers. Singe, Duchess of New Jersey, Not Tommy C, Calculator, Matt Cat, Big 8s, Frosted 564, and Caps. And guess what? We're going to add in some Twitch subs this time around. I've been streaming on Twitch. If you want to, you can go to twitch.tv/bogflop, BOGFLOP, that's where I stream. And people decided to sub, so we have Jigglybuff, Zag the Equivalent, and Caps Production. Looks like Caps is on there twice. We got a big fan here. I think Caps is my new biggest fan out here. So shout out to Caps. Thank you guys so much for giving me money. Like, honestly. And let's get back to the show. You know what? That probably explains.
Girls.
Oh,
Explains
a
so
couple things.
much.
Okay.
Mean moms suck, and they have
Ugh.
shitty daughters. And I have certainly encountered my share, to the point where I still have a couple, like some inner rage about some slights that happened to my daughters. And I really like think about them. But when it pops into my brain, I'm like, she's a piece of shit. I hate her. Like but you had to deal with them because you were just going to see them. Like this one particular mom, I knew I would see her everywhere. I still see her. I can't, it makes me wild. I went on a hike with girlfriends. We just went out in the woods and did like this 10-mile hike. And son of a bitch, if that woman just didn't come walking up with her husband, she's like, "Hey, good morning." I'm like, "Fuck you!" Like I was so, like, I'm in the woods. How am I even near you? I'm nowhere near where you are. And why are you walking towards me? Like
It always happens like that. People always show up when you don't fucking want them to.
Oh my God, she's like Beetlejuice. Like she was just like I couldn't believe she was walking at me. Like, am I high? Like, there's just no way I'm seeing this woman. And she was a bitch. Like, she was so mean to my girl.
You guys forgot to invite me to the hike.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so we were definitely past any. It's like, it's like we acknowledge each other. Like, if we in a social setting, we would just kind of nod. There's no, how's your daughters? Because I don't care. Your daughters weren't. One daughter was in my Girl Scout troop, and she was a shit.
Oh,
and you just know when you have those nasty kids because they're the nasty moms, and she was just awful. So
yeah, I can.
But I don't hold a grudge at all.
I
Fuck her.
I think back, like a few years ago, I may if anything like that. I don't really have anything going on with anyone, but I mean, I maybe haven't come across anything to that extent yet. I mean, I've come across like bitchy people, but for the most part, people generally like me. And again, I don't have family here. Well, again, I live in a different state. I live in Alabama. My family lives in so I don't really have many things happen to where like, I know your sister, like this person did this. So I think that's easier for me to like disconnect anyways. Like I go to work and then the people I know them from stuff I've done. Because my boyfriend, like, he just knows the people at his job, and he's not as social, so he just like knows his people, and generally I would know more people, and if I know them, then I know why I know them and why I'm speaking to them, I guess, if that makes sense. So there hasn't been any crazy issues. Yes. There hasn't been any crazy issues, but I would usually just, I guess, ignore them before. But I think I've realized that, I don't know if it's being an adult or again just being a lady, where it's like, even if I don't because there are people I don't like, even though
you're still polite.
Yeah,
you just don't hang out.
I just, it doesn't feel genuine to me, which is again like hard for me to do stuff that's just not genuine, because it's like, what's the reason for me doing this? But I'm still like, hey,
because you're a polite person and you're not going to be rude. Like, I'm not rude to people, but like this particular woman, like, she doesn't live in my heart or my head, but it's like when I saw her, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I just couldn't escape her. But normally she's not someone I think about, and I'm just more angry at her because she was crappy to my daughters. If I didn't have to worry about any possible fallout to my kids, I would have taken care of that a long time ago. But you move on. Like, you have to behave like an adult and move on. And like you said, it's you find your people and you hang with and you stick with your tribe. Like, it's kind of, and that makes total sense. People are comfortable with people they have things in common with, and you found your group, your husband or your boyfriend found his group and you guys hang together and that's kind of awesome. And that's how you develop, I think, better friendship. And just like you're shoved together in school and you grow up together,
Yeah.
which is why a lot of people grow up, grow out, but it happens. And that's
Yep.
good for you for going out. It's hard as an adult to like, you're like, hey, you want to go out for coffee? Like, when you're 4, you'd be like, let's be friends. And then you run off and you're friends. And that's what it is. That's all you have to say.
Yeah,
As
I
an adult,
actually
you can't
I
quite
didn't
skip
have a
up to somebody and be like, let's be friends.
I didn't have a lot of friends growing up either.
No.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, I think everything's just hard for me. My mom's like, yeah, you're a very introverted person, and it's funny because I have this like, those like books where like each year you put in the kid's picture and like some like I got honor roll, and then you like slide it into that page, and it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like a different one for every grade. And then, I think it was like 5th grade. We moved a lot because I was a military kid too, so I don't think that helped.
Okay. That probably didn't, yeah.
But when I was in 5th grade, I remember me and my friend were looking at this book at one point. I was like, oh, let's see what's going on here. And in 5th grade, it's like, list your friends, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I just put, I don't have any friends.
Oh,
So I'm just like, oh, that's great. A 5th grader not
so
having any
sad.
friends.
Oh,
Um,
your mom
yeah.
has been like, oh,
Yeah.
we're not filling
So
this book out anymore. Aw.
yeah. So I think it's like
Aw.
one of those things where that's also the thing where it's taken me a while to figure out, and also like me just like, how does the world work? Because going from I hate to like be like, wow, this thing from so long ago has affected me now, but it kind of has, I think, because if we would have stayed stationary in a place my whole life, which I think I said earlier, I grew up somewhere, which I feel like I kind of did the second part of my childhood. I grew up in this place. The first part, we were moving around so much,
Right.
but I feel like it would have all made more sense, like how to do stuff, and also I would have felt more comfortable because everyone's like this, but I'm very like, except this most recent job, I think, because I'm starting to understand more, like when I first go to a place and I don't know anything about it, I feel like I can't use any cross-reference from anything else. I know nothing about it. But like this job, I'm like,
Right.
okay, I've done this similar work before. I know how this applies here. I don't know the people here, but I know how to talk to people now,
come.
and I know customer service, and I know this. So that's been easier. But before, it's just like that's why I never had any friends. This is why, I'm figuring out the networking stuff now. This is why I'm doing this. Also, I'm at that point too where it's like, this is all gotta happen. Like, if this doesn't come across my brain in the next 10 years, I must be like retarded or something. Like, there's something wrong with me. But like, it's just the thing of growing up.
But you're learning. That's the learning curve. You never stop learning.
I feel
and
like
now
it
in my
shoulda
future, this
took-
is what I want. Yeah.
It should take so much shorter though, especially since I've been like
Wow.
in a different state for like more than 5 years, and it's just
Right.
been us two mainly. And it's like, I feel like something's not moving fast enough in my brain. I need to oil up some gears. Because like, why
Get them
is it?
gears moving.
Yeah, I don't think it helps, like, again, to like blame the past, but like I don't think it helps that COVID happened either. So it's like,
Right.
that was like one of those things. It's just been
You're the generation that it really impacted.
yeah.
I mean,
Luckily
I
it
was
didn't
like, well,
happen.
I worked from home.
Luckily it didn't happen when I was in high school. Like, that would have sucked for me.
yeah.
But I mean, if
Oh, I feel so bad for those kids. They lost like proms and senior trips and things like that. That's
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, I only
That's a big
lost
thing.
like drinking. I turned 21 in March of 2020.
Mm.
So like stuff. I was like
I'll
scared.
just drink at home.
Yeah, I didn't know what
Yeah.
I didn't know what COVID. Well, I didn't know what COVID was.
Yeah.
No one knew what COVID was. So
Exactly.
like that was like 2 days before lockdown, I guess.
Yep.
And
Isn't that
I was
funny?
like,
You can look back and be like, what did I do right before
Yeah,
lockdown? Like, it's almost like what
exactly.
happened during like 9/11 or what. Like, you have that, I was here or when this
Yep.
happened.
Yep.
Isn't that funny? You
Even
go
like
that?
the only other. Sorry, I feel like
No.
I don't remember 9/11. I was only 2 years old.
Well, you were a child, yeah. I mean,
But even I don't think the first Trump election was one of those things. But the Obama election, that's one thing I remembered. And then, yeah, the COVID thing, because I was 21 and I was like, I don't fucking know what COVID is. I'm scared. And I'm in the pool and I'm like, am I going to get something? Am I going to die? But I'm like, well, I want to drink now because I can. And then the Obama thing was, I remember my teacher was crying and they pulled up the little TV and we saw Obama. That's all I remember. But
What with him being elected or
yeah,
just...
in 2008, I was
okay.
I was in like 4th grade.
I was like, what was so sad about that? Like, I know people didn't like him, but
she was happy.
It was a
about
monumental move.
She was
yeah.
happy about.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was a pivotal move. I mean,
yeah.
it was just something else. It's another part of history, but
Yes.
yeah, you remember where you were when things like
Yeah.
that happened.
I feel like that was
But
the
COVID
last
really
election.
shut a lot of people down.
I don't know if it was because I was like actually 9 years old, but that was like the last election I remember. Well, I guess except for his re-election, that didn't seem tense. Like people were just normal.
Yeah.
So I think at that time, like I never
Different,
saw.
but yeah.
Yeah, I was 9 years old, and no one said, he's the first black president. That's it. It wasn't like, oh, he's a black president, or oh, hell yeah, black people, like I don't know, like there's the two sides now. It can't just be like, he's the first black president. That's awesome. Okay, now he's the president. Like I don't know. No one's
do your job. Now you're the president.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like the last time everything was normal.
It's certainly been tense, yeah. And I feel like the more eyes, but keep in mind, since Obama, so you figure 2008, right? We're at 2024 now. So, it's a good amount of time. Think of how much things have changed socially and certainly digitally. Like just the amount of speed with I keep saying like social media or just the way stories and things are going on in the world or reported on. Like at this point, I feel like people just report things to be first. It's certainly not the most accurate, and it's insanity. Like you can't escape it now, and especially with the amount of people like trying to one up the other or trying to shut people down. It's like all the good that you could do with social media, I feel like it gets negated quite a bit with all the shit that happens with social media. Like I love social media for all the warm, fuzzy shit that it is. I'm like, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday today, or yay, I got a video. There's happy puppies and veterans coming home, like that kind of shit. And then I watch like hate videos or just things about terrible things happening or just sad things. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this. And I feel like I've been dulled. Like my senses are dulled. Like it takes more to shock me now.
Yeah.
Like it's every day. It's like, what are you watching on? I keep holding my hand up like it's my phone.
It's okay.
Like what am I watching on YouTube today? What video is gonna come streaking across X? Like what's gonna happen? So I don't know. It's always something going on, and I feel like it's probably gonna get worse before it gets a little better.
Yep.
But it certainly wouldn't be back. But now there's no print media. Was why who even reads paper? Because by the time it's printed and put out, it's already old. Old news.
That's
who's
funny
reading it?
because when I was making the trivia for today, I'm like, okay, like I made it 80s because I'm like that would be.
'Cause I'm old.
It's
Yeah, I get it.
you're old and it's broad.
Older than dirt. Yeah.
it's broad, but
Right.
you guys had. I mean, you guys had access to information if you went and looked, but it's
did.
like not
Yeah.
like you guys were dumb or anything. But it's easier
I'm
to
for
say
it,
the
yeah.
80s rather than like let's do the 2020s. It's 4 years into the 2020s, and there's too many things that have happened to where like nothing's
80s
really
are much more
notable.
fun anyway.
Yeah, and 80s is pretty fun actually. I'm not
80s
gonna
is
lie.
super
So I'm
fun.
like, okay, I was thinking about siloing it more like one specific band or one specific topic that we could go
Okay.
over, but then that's what I was thinking. It's funny how this conversation is wrapped into it like this, so we can start trivia again. But I'm like,
we worked right into it. There you go.
hell yeah. but yeah, I was like, well, if they, I guess you guys kind of had like what. I don't know how to say this because I didn't live in the 80s, so I don't know how to explain it, but you had what was given to you, whereas like there's more opportunity now to like research opinions that aren't as manufactured and stuff like that, or more misinformation, blah blah blah, stuff like that, you know. And also people, I assume 80s people were also more credible too. So like if I ask you a trivia question now, there could be like 50 different answers because someone thinks it's this and they're just going to put it online, whereas like if it's like from a magazine back in the day specifically for that band, they probably actually know the answer. They're not giving you a fake answer.
It's most likely, yeah. No, I see what you're saying. So like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the amount of media that I mean, there's tons of magazines and TV shows and the news, you know, but you only had like maybe four or five news channels. You had like your three big stations, and then you had like your PBS that if you know, you watch that, and then maybe like a super local, you know, whatever. And then you read the newspapers. So if I wanted to read something, I didn't do much like huge reading for news in the 80s, but like if you wanted to be, you know, more updated on, say, like theater, you would get the New York Times and you would read that whole arts and leisure section where you would know about, because that was the social media. That was the way you found anything out happening, was through the papers. You know, there's nothing to Google.
And there's no
Google.
There's no algorithms too pushing, you know, people putting their middle finger in front of a baby's face in New York.
Oh my God, you're gonna get so many of those videos now. Like just terrible New Yorkers. There are nice New Yorkers, but yeah, people don't normally walk up to babies and stick their middle fingers in their face.
That
cool.
At least they didn't hurt the baby, cool. But I'm just like, there was also that one recently of that person like yelling at a baby. I was like, what is wrong with you?
What demented, really.
People.
There's some broken people that just hate everyone. You know, that's awful. But
oh my god,
so sad.
Well,
what trivia do you have for me? I'm curious.
I attempted my hardest to order these in like a least challenging to a most challenging order. So these are taken a little bit from like pop culture. It's only 4 questions. Pop culture, and general. I think one's an event, but we'll see. We'll see. So I'll
hopefully I'm not too old where I've forgotten everything. So
yeah, I'll give you. I think you'll know. I think these are probably, now that I'm looking at them, I feel like these are probably really easy. But I was trying to do ones that I'm like there was one I kind of knew the answer to, like I could have guessed it, or like once I heard it, I'm like, oh, I think I've heard that before. So I'm like, maybe it's middle. And then the other ones, I'm like, I know this concept, but I don't know the answer. So maybe that was her. I don't know how to explain it. We'll go through and see.
Oh, good.
I'll give you 2 choices, two guesses, I guess. That's what it is.
Okay, throw the first one out and see if I need a hint. So.
Okay. I also wrote these questions. I tried to not get it directly from the trivia pages I looked at, so I tried to mix it around. So I may fail at presenting the question, or it may be so wordy.
I'm sure they'll be fabulous.
We'll see. Okay, so you should probably know this right away, but we'll see. What's the name of the teacher who was also the first American civilian elected to go to space on the Challenger?
Krista McAuliffe.
Okay, you got it. See, that one was so easy. Okay, that was so easy.
Oh, so I'll side note that I watched that launch in high school and watched it explode.
Yeah,
so that was
sad.
And the way that we were dealt with was like, all right, go back to class.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Like we just watched people explode in the space shuttle.
To be fair, I mean, I heard conspiracies that they could have prevented
Gen X is busted.
Yeah, that's
yeah. It was an it boiled down to it was an O-ring. It could have been adjusted, and they did not. I think there was.
Yeah, it was like freezing over.
It's a whole big thing, but it was. Yeah, there was a problem with the O-ring seal, which is amazing when you think of like the massive size of this project and this rocket and the launch, and it was so monumental. So millions of people tuned into this, and this is the day when people actually would watch the space launches, and it was like everybody had it on. The teachers had their TVs in. It was just So it was, and the fact that they had the teacher in there, and then you just watch it, like it just goes and then just sideways out. It was, you knew, like right there, like I'm not, look, I was like, was it 15, 16? I was young, and just to watch that, and you look at that, you're like, I don't think it's supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And then they just were like, everybody just got quiet. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
like, all right, but there was never. This is why Gen X is all messed up. Like we're just
Yeah,
like
I know.
tuned out.
You guys
we're like,
like
we're so shell shocked.
You guys are experiencing the first time everything. Like at this point, I know what.
Yeah.
Like again, I guess bringing up 9/11. Like I would have just thought it was a if I didn't see a plane fly into it. Like if it were me and I haven't seen 9/11 before, I would just think there was a big fire and I would be like, oh crap, and that's what's going on. And then
the fact that you could see it happening to the second building, like you didn't see too much when it hit. The first one hit, but it broke into everything. And then as they're filming, reporting it, you see the second plane, and that was, I mean, it still gives me goosebumps to think about it. But because to watch that, and you're just like, I just watched, like you just in your head, you're like, I watched people die.
Yeah.
Like again, it was like the space shuttle, like real time. No, and I know people have their conspiracy theories about the towers and this and that, but there's no denying those people died. Like it was just horrifying to watch. And it was just,
I've been on a 9/11 kick. I don't know how to say it for like 2 years at this point, because like there's videos that resurface or surface every once in a while, and it's like, oh, someone forgot to. It was on YouTube the whole time, but someone forgot to private it, or just some things people just haven't uploaded and stuff like that, and just like people telling stories that just aren't told a lot. And there's like one, this one's probably popular at this point, but I don't know if they were like on the plane or what, but like someone like the bottom half of their body was gone, and like the guy that was putting the death tags on people so they know like it's a dead body and not an alive body, I guess, it's put them on her because they knew she was gonna die, and she's like, what are you putting this on me for? I'm not dead yet, blah, blah, blah. And like stuff like that. And it's like, again, I forgot the point. Oh yeah, you were saying people alive and stuff. I know people die. Like, I guess also some people were saying like some people in that zone like are just lucky enough to survive, but of course they end up dying from like the fucking smoke inhalation, and they just jump. It's just like crazy, like
that blew off the building.
Yeah,
the buildings were fireproofed and they were sprayed with asbestos, which was a fireproofing, but they were not ever meant to. The buildings were built to withstand wind, and even like a small, like they thought like a small plane, like when you see King Kong movies, like the little prop planes, like they couldn't possibly do that. But these were fully fueled, and I know conspiracies, but fueled 747 planes that just smashed into it, and they exploded. It blew off all the fire coating. And that was a part of the awful smoke, and everything just was in the air. Of course, fuels and debris just for people to breathe in. Yeah, cancer, like instant.
Yeah,
it's awful. I mean, people are still dying from it. It's horrifying.
It's crazy. I get so afraid every time I'm in an old building. I'm like, is there asbestos in here? The building I'm in now, I'm like,
it's fine if it's not floating around the air. Like if it's stuck to stuff, you're okay. But once you disrupt it, it gets in the air, and then you'll be on like, have you suffered from asbestos poisoning? Call 1-800, whatever attorney, and for lawsuit settlements, that sort of, because they've run them now. I see them on TV all the time for like 9/11.
I don't have cable, so I don't want.
It's just ridiculous to be like, oh my god, like.
That's crazy.
Any tragedy, I guess.
Oh. Okay, next question. Okay.
Cheery. All right.
Man, I feel like you're going to know this one too. All these are probably so easy, but this one.
Well, I'm old, so.
This one I learned. I'm pretty sure I learned it from my mom. I'm pretty sure I'm like, this is where I've heard it from. Okay. Which drummer lost his arm in a car accident in 1984 but continued to be a drummer?
Oh, it's a guy from Def Leppard.
You could get a point for the Def Leppard, but
it's Rick, but I forgot his last name.
Yeah, you're right. It's Rick Allen from Def Leppard.
That's it. Yeah, Rick Allen. Yeah. I like Def Leppard, but I didn't track him. But yeah, it's amazing that he still continued to be a drummer.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what
It's
the
a
heck?
special set, but
Like,
yeah.
I've seen people like start doing stuff with their feet too. I know he didn't. He just drummed with one arm, but I've seen people like who don't have arms and they're like doing stuff with their feet, and I was just like, I
know,
couldn't
I
even.
can't stop looking at that. I'm like,
I couldn't imagine how people do that. People are. I would give
I
up.
have to adapt. Yeah.
I would give up.
I wouldn't
I'd be
want to
like,
give up,
can't
but
do
I
it.
can't imagine I would be that dedicated. But
Yeah.
you got to eat, you got to move, you got to do stuff,
Yep.
got to work with what you got.
Yep.
Like, literally.
Um.
Plus, Rick Allen had some money, so I think hopefully he had some money and got some good hair.
Yep. Question 3. What does VHS stand for?
Oh my God, I think I should know this.
Oh, yes. I got her. I asked a few millennials yesterday and they didn't know. So I was thinking this
I
would be
don't
a harder
remember.
one.
It's a video. Oh, it's gonna kill me too because you're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna be like, of course that's what it is.
If it helps, we were talking about that there's a VHS, but there's also a VHS tape. So that makes sense why.
Oh, are we talking
Why-
about the player, or are we talking about?
Well,
the,
I mean, the player's
Right.
the VCR, but
the
but
VCR.
we're
Okay, no,
like
you said
I don't know if
VHS,
it'll
right.
help you figure out what the acronym means. Remembering that there's
I don't think it's
VHS and
gonna.
VHS
How
tape,
pathetic is that? Yeah.
because I completely
Oh my
forgot
God.
VHS is like. I thought that was the tape itself, and I'm like, no, they say VHS tape. So
Tape. Yeah.
I don't know if this is making
some
sense.
video.
in my head.
I'm pretty sure it's like video something system, but I don't. Oh my God. Shame on me. I don't recall it.
I'll give you. Let's see.
That's all right. Just
Two
rip the
thirds.
Band-Aid.
It's video home system.
Oh.
Yes.
Damn it. All
That's
right,
why
yeah,
I was
should've known that.
thinking about that yesterday. I was like, wait, why do they call the brick, the tape? They call it VHS tape, of course, but like I was thinking
Right.
they called it just VHS. So I'm like, why do they call that the video home system? I'm like, oh wait, no, that's the VHS tape.
Right.
The VHS is, I guess, the concept, but the VCR is the device you put.
Cassette recorder. Yeah.
Like what the heck? Oh my gosh. Okay,
Oh, shame on me. I have to give up my X card. I'm gonna be sad about that.
Let's see. I don't know if this one's common knowledge or if this is just one of those like fun fact things. So that's why I put it as kind of the hardest one. But I want you to name 2 Pac-Man ghosts, and if you know their colors too. I mean, like their colors and the names. Of course, you'll probably know the colors of each ghost, but
I do remember I used to play Pac-Man all the time. It's like Winky and Blinky. Think.
those sound like
I think of-
slurs.
I know. Oh, God. Am I wrong?
One of those was right. I don't know if I should make you guess or not.
Oh my God. I know they were they would go blue when you would eat
Yeah.
the power pellet. They would go blue, and then it was red. I want to say there's like a light green one and yellow gold. Shit. Kind of like the Teletubbies almost. Maybe that's where I'm
minute.
mixing up my. Am I wrong?
It's like I don't have a yellow or a. I forgot the
was
other
pink.
color you said. Yeah, there's a red, pink, cyan. It does go blue, yeah.
Blue,
But there's
okay.
the cyan, which is that lighter blue, and then the orange.
All right.
But you got Blinky right, who's the red one. I think you said Winky, which that's not one.
did.
But there's Pinky.
I thought they were rhymey. Yeah, Pinky.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
the pink one. Inky, which is the cyan one. But then there's
Blue one, yeah.
Clyde, which is so fucking random. Clyde is the orange one.
Clyde. Yeah.
Which
Oh, shame
I don't
on
know
me.
where that came from, but
Well, because what are you gonna call him? Orangey?
you could call him Winky.
Winky. It would have matched. It would have all worked together.
Yeah.
God damn
Okay,
it.
so that one was okay. I was
Well
glad
done. Well done.
Yeah.
Good trivia
No,
question.
you did pretty good. Like
Eh,
you got the Def Leppard guy right. Like
no, that's easy. That's like an easy one for Gen Xers. It should be.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
oh,
you
I can't
got
believe
his
I got
first
hung up
name
on
right.
Pac-Man. I'm sad.
No, well, then go do your Pac-Man
alright.
research. It said
I
that
know.
the Pac-Man was the first character to appear in a video game. I didn't look into it like in depth, but I think that just meant like I guess whatever the other ones were just like an objective thing. Like I guess maybe the
Like
asteroids.
Pong and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
like
This
there's
one
no
was
actual
an
characters.
actual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know if that
It was fun. I
asteroid
mean,
game came out before or whatever it's
so
called.
I'll give you some homework. Go look
Oh,
up the
gosh.
song Pac-Man Fever.
Let me open a
Edit
new
on
tab
your-
for that.
Yeah, Pac-Man Fever. You can close it out with that song. It's terrible, but because Pac-Man was such a rage,
What?
like think Pokemon, Pac-Man. Like it was insane. It was on everything. And there
Wow.
was a song that hit like top 40 called Pac-Man Fever. It was so
I've-
cheesy.
I've
So,
never seen this in my life.
yeah, it's probably terrible, but
That's
is there a
crazy.
video tied to it? I'm not sure,
Um,
but
This is not a
be.
video, but it is a song from the 80s.
yeah, it's bad.
Oh my god.
It's cheesy. It's so cheesy, fabulous. It's definitely along the lines of cheesy 80s, which was really the 80s. The 80s was fun. It was fun. There was some fun.
Yeah, I
and
was
and it's just-
talking to my old boss about that before I left, and he was basically we were going in depth about it, and he was like, "Yeah, there were no cameras around. You could kind of do whatever you
No.
wanted. You didn't have to worry."
We get a
about saying
security
this or
camera here and
that."
there, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
are truly lucky. Like, not like y'all didn't have access to anything, but it's kind of like ignorance is bliss thing. You just kind of go with the flow. You're chilling out, you're relaxing, you're living life, and
Ah,
you have hope for the future.
because-
Nothing too crazy is going
Yeah.
on in the 80s. I don't know if there were any huge wars that really affected us. in the
Uh,
80s.
not really. I mean, there were some when Reagan was president. There were some
Mm-hmm.
attacks when we were in the Middle East, like in Beirut and Lebanon and sort of thing. But there wasn't like full-fledged war.
Okay.
But the 80s were like, and again, everybody jokes about like, oh, you drank from the garden hose. We did. Like, it was a thing. Like, when you did your chores on Saturday, you had to do whatever you do, and then your parents threw you out. And if you said you were bored, you did it once because they found things for you to do. And you didn't want that. So you got your chores done, you got the hell out of the house, you got on your bike, and you just drove around. You biked around, and you found people to play with. Because at that time, you had to go knock on the door and be like, can so-and-so come out and play? Because if you called, then you'd have to talk to the parent, which was the worst because they'd ask you questions like, how are you? And how's your mom? And all that. And I'm like, I just want to know if my friend can play. And so it was the fun that you had was what you could make of it. And the independence, like we would just, like, gone. Like my mother would be like, come back for dinner, when the lights come on or when she would ring we had a bell on the back porch, like a little, it was almost like a dinner bell, like clang it, like clink, clink, clink. She had that. And she was like, you got to be home by 5. That's dinner. And if you were late, you were screwed. But it's seriously like, if you follow any or see any of the Gen X influencers and stuff, when they would talk about that was literally how it was. So everybody's like, oh, no, it wasn't. It truly was. You were tossed out and, we didn't have water bottles or, you didn't get sunscreen and you just get out, you come home for lunch, you eat what was given to you. There was no like, what are you making me for lunch? You ate your lunch because that was what was provided. And then you left again. And it was a great time though. I mean, it was independent. We did so much shit that we would be like, I would never let my kids do shit I did ever.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm
you don't
jealous.
let us do anything. I'm like, I know. I've
Yeah.
been there. I know what you dummies are doing. I'm
My
not
mom
stupid.
always talks about all the
Yeah.
crazy things she did,
Yep.
As well. It was more
But no
like when I
proof.
lived, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Like, also, I'd be too afraid to do half of that stuff anyway. But she's
Yeah, we
talking about,
raised
like,
you guys
yeah,
in a
you could-
box kind of a
yeah.
bit. We did as parents, we kind of opposite our children. Like we grew up like, I don't want to say ignored because that's my parents didn't ignore me, but parents did not sit and play games with us. We didn't have like family card night or like
No,
just
we didn't
wasn't
have
a
that
thing.
either. But I think I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Like I feel some kids today, like, or some generation, like their parents play with them all the time. I'm like, thing at all. Like they drove us to stuff, dropped us off. Like we would go to soccer practice. Like I would go to soccer practice. My mom or my grandmother, whoever was dropping me off at the time, because my mom worked, would drive up to a field, drop me off, and then come back. They would pick me up when they said practice was over. If your practice wrapped up a half hour early, you're still sitting there waiting for your ride because who are you calling?
Yeah.
You calling because your mom's already on her way.
Yep.
Oh, you're gonna go. She's gonna go there, and you're not there.
Oh,
No.
hell no.
No.
I
I'll
know
get a
this one.
beating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You stay where you're supposed to be, and you can't call anybody. Nobody has phones. You call from the payphone if you had a quarter, or if you could do a collect call from like, "Hi, my practice early ended. Will you accept the charges?" Which makes no sense to anybody unless they've made a collect call.
Yep. Even if you tried to call and tell her to stop, you can't because there's no cell phone. So
No cell phone. So if she was already left the office and wasn't home, you just had to wait. So you could sit there in the dark. Like, so the coach would have to sit there and wait with you. Or sometimes the coach didn't wait and they just left. They're like, all right, we'll see you at the game. And they would leave. You know, I'm sitting on a bench like, oh, hope my mom gets here soon. Like for 20 minutes, like, you know, and you're 9, 10, like, you don't know. No defense, nothing to do. No bathroom, nothing. It's just like, can you imagine? I would never do that to my kids.
Well, some of that's happened to me, but I've had a cell phone on me at that point. But yeah, I couldn't imagine that without having any security or anyone else around.
Nothing. And like, and people are like, oh, Gen X. I'm like, this is why we're the way we are. This is what built that. And it was a generation of, we're like, just go. You know, the boomer generation, they weren't warm and fuzzy. Like I knew my parents loved me, but it wasn't like, there was just no, like, good job. And that's what it was. There was no over expressiveness of stuff. It was just what it was. Yep. And now it's like, I see what I do for my girls, you know, and again, my mother was a good woman. My dad was a good man. Like, I have no hurt feelings against them. That's just how it was. And everybody was like that. All my friends' parents were like that too. You know, I had one friend whose dad was the don't walk on my fucking lawn guy. And God forbid you were playing in the yard, somewhere else in the yard, because not the front part, and a ball or something landed on it and you went to go get it. He would scream at everybody.
Oh
like he was postal. Looking back, I think he was a drunk. So, I mean, that probably helped. But he was not nice. Everybody was scared of him. Like, nobody wanted to go play at their house. You know, my mom would feed the kids that would come over, you know, because the whole gang was over. So it was always like, you know, stuff. But it was, I don't know. It's just, it's a different time. Like, would you imagine just going to a friend's house and knocking on the door, like, can you come out and play? No. Parents arrange date. Yeah. There's play dates. There's no.
Even at that point when I was like hanging out with some people, I think at one point, I don't know, I think it was a cultural thing though, but they said someone got mad at me because they said, you're supposed to tell me before you come over and ask me to hang out or something like that. And I didn't understand that, I guess, which I still don't understand it either. I guess they could have just said like, I'm busy or something, but maybe it's a courtesy thing. Like, so I know you're coming over,
it is.
but I never understood that. So I think I was kind of just the person who's like, is anyone home? You know, and I had just gotten a cell phone at that time. So I didn't think, I mean, that was me in 5th grade with no friends. And that's when I moved somewhere and like someone said something, but I never understood that. So I'm like, okay, but like how else? But I don't know. I think stuff like that too. Like, things like that are changing. Like now it's a courtesy to call before too. So you don't catch someone unprepared, but then it's like
people would always stop by our house. Like because that was the generation of, oh, pop over for a cup of coffee. Because parents, sometimes there's usually a parent home. There was, you know, people were doing things all day, so they were usually there. You know, and you know, like my parents worked, but like I remember just people would pop in, like, I was in the neighborhood, just thought I'd drop by and just wanted to come and say hello. Yep. Can you imagine doing that to somebody now? Yeah. There's a comedian I'd seen is Sebastian Maniscalco, who I think is a riot. He does a bit about like people like because he talks about like how he grew up with his parents like stop over, you know, he had the Entenmann's cake and like there was food for company and then you got the garbage food, like you can't eat the company food, like someone could stop by, so I have a Danish or something.
Aw.
But then but it was, and then nowadays and he talks about like somebody knocked on the door, they're like who's coming over, and like everybody's on the floor army crawling, like nobody wants to acknowledge there's somebody at the door. And I feel like that's kind of true a little bit because like if somebody just popped over, I'd be like, why are you here? But I know people who live, you know, my age who love to pop in and they have a huge family and they pop in on them all the time. I'm like, yeah, but you should tell me you're coming so I can make sure I'm like, I don't look like a maniac or I have, you know, my hair's clean or brushed. I don't look like I just rolled out of bed. You know, I don't know.
Yep. No, yeah, and I think also now that I'm thinking about it too,
Little
we
silly things. Yeah.
Mine again was like I just had a phone, like it's nice and fresh, and I've never had a phone before, and I do remember like when I was younger that one of the places when we were in the military, it was full of kids, so I went over and someone lived like next door, but like we were in like a little town home kind of things they put us in, and next door was like 2 feet, like, or down the street
Literally
was 2
there.
feet is what I meant. Like, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk over there. Like, I can see your house from here, so why would I call you? Like, same thing where it's like mom's like, why are you fucking texting me? We're in the same house. Like, okay, I'll walk over to you. Like, yeah, I don't say if I can see your house from here, I'm gonna walk over to you. But it's so weird, like something like that has changed. And also you don't know who's gonna come up to your door and do stuff. But it's so weird how like stuff like that has changed too. Just
a 180.
Yeah. But for me, I feel a little better with it just because it's like, oh, okay, well, we don't really even have people over anyway, so at least we know to not answer the door most of the time. But
if somebody knocks on your door, do you answer it?
Well, the other day, like
You don't know if somebody's coming? Like, do you?
we've only had like a couple people knock on our door the last 6 years, and one was a kid. I don't think we answered it the first time, but we answered it the second time, and the other one was actually recently the lady across the hallway. She knocked once and I was like, I'm not gonna answer. and then she knocked again later, so I'm like, okay, maybe it's the same person. And then I looked through the peephole and saw it was her, and and she was just asking if we could like put a package in because she'd be out for the weekend. But it's like, yeah, it's so weird because even I finally made that switch, and then it's like now I feel kind of bad again. Like now I'm like, oh, all she wanted me to do is fucking like put a package in because she's gonna be out for a few days. But I get that. It's like, I don't know. But I also am like friendly where I'm like, okay, like I would, like as long as the place is clean, I wouldn't mind hanging out. But I would probably be more now, like if that ever happened, if for some reason one of my friends came over and asked to hang out or something, I'd be like, yeah, just give me a second because I gotta clean up.
Yeah, you gotta stand in the hallway for a few minutes. Go get coffee, we'll be back and come back.
Yeah, my house is never like guest ready because we never have anything happen over here. So
I'm not dirty. We're not dirty people, but we're countertop people. So there's these papers, there's stuff.
Yeah,
we have stuff. We
have
here.
Stuff.
So like I'm not.
Yep.
You know, my mom used to be like everything had to be perfect, and I think I fell like off that and like kind of hit the other polar opposite. Like I'm like, I should probably dust. What's on Facebook? You know, like, oh, I'm gonna go put on football. You know, but then I also justify it like, well, I work, I can relax too, and you know, if someone doesn't want to come over and they're like, I have a little bit of dust on something, and they're like, oh, you got dust. You know, we're not going to be friends then.
We've never dusted. But yeah, like me, like this, it's like clothes messy. And then I have boxes because I was like painting and stuff. But like, besides that, I have water bottles on my desk. But that's really
I've seen like... some of you have like a lot of water bottles. Like the refillable ones, right? Or do you do like the...
Wait, what are you talking about?
You've shown pictures. I've seen pictures from other like YouTubes, like where you've had your desk. I've seen
that
like
I don't
bottles and things. Yeah,
probably I don't remember. Also, through the years, I've started trying to be. I've used to like not hoard stuff, but I used to keep a lot of things just because like one thing became sentimental to me. So I probably just had a bunch of stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if I had a bunch of water bottles. But yeah,
I can't look. You only see like for your.
I wish
viewing,
my room looked like
you
that.
See, this is that's that side. It's just a bunch of shit and shelves,
I
and
need
over
two
there's a
things.
bed.
I'm so done. Like
Yeah.
all these bag of
I'm
clothes I
messy.
need to donate. This bed that's
Huge bag of clothes to donate. Yep.
just the guest bed, and I slept on it the other day because I was feeling sick, and then
Aw.
I'm just like, but yeah, that I don't know. Man, I'm getting kind of hungry. I think it's if unless you have something else, I think I'm good to wrap up.
Yeah. No, this is fun. I'm sorry. I feel like I dragged you down a couple rabbit holes
No,
there. So.
no, there's nothing like that. I was like, like we have to talk about, like, so it doesn't matter much for
Right.
me. But I'm just getting hungry and also have to pee.
Oh no, then you got to take care of business for sure.
Yes, yeah. I like the way you said that. See, I need to learn how to say things more, like better like that.
Okay.
And so
It's
just
your
like I
podcast.
got
You say whatever
pissed.
you want.
Oh no, I'm
Yeah.
just talking about in
Well,
general,
well,
like
that's
speaking to
me.
people.
Yeah. Well, but I have to say that you guys are much more direct because all three from the other episodes, you're like, yeah, we got to pee, and I'm like, all right, well, take care of business. That's shame. That's the older generation shame things, I guess. I don't know. I'm probably more damaged than I let on.
Oh,
Repressed. Nah. It's it's just gotta pee, gotta eat.
yep.
Goes on.
Life. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. And what is we spoke about it at the beginning, but tell everyone where they can find you.
Okay. If you'd like to participate or watch the Boomer Bunker with myself and John Domingo, we stream the recording of our podcast live, and that you can find on X, Facebook, Rumble, Twitch, and YouTube. And if you'd like to follow us on our social, Facebook, X, and Instagram. And if you would just like to listen, we love that too. You can find us on your favorite podcast player like Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere else. Or just visit us on boomerbunker.com. But Mondays nights and Thursday nights at 6:30 Eastern is when we stream.
Hell yeah. Love it.
Oh,
I need
yeah.
to like start catching
busy.
y'all streams more, and also just like I've fallen out. I started listening to you guys during I think July. I don't know. I don't know when it was. It
I
was
think it was
like
early in the summer.
Yeah, that
we
sounds
were
about
chatting.
right. Yeah, and then like I was like on my podcasting again because there's like years where I like just like a year off, just like podcasted out, and then I came back, and then I started listening, and then a bunch of shit happened. I'm like, oh my god, man! I'm like,
Life, it's messy,
Yes,
man.
this
There's so much
year's
shit that goes
been
on.
This year's been crazy. It has been so
Chaotic
much.
for sure. Well,
But-
you have a lot. You said new jobs, school, family, a lot of shit. Yeah, man. It's all this stuff you gotta
Trying to figure out
pay
when-
100% attention to. It's hard to
Yes.
juggle.
trying to do this
I get it.
podcast that I'm absolutely not being consistent with, so I feel very bad about it. So
I look forward to your podcast. I always enjoy listening to them, and
Aw.
because it's fun when you talk to folks. One of I think the first one I ever tuned into were the two. Was the one young man who'd gotten almost all the way through Air Force.
oh
Was
yeah,
Air
that's
Force
the
school?
How We Work with
Yeah, how we work.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ian. Yes.
Yeah, that was excellent. And then the other young man who was, I guess, a postal worker.
Wait, that was the
Like, it was just
same
fascinating.
episode? Well, I don't know. He was
Yeah.
on Ian was on 2.
No,
and
you
then-
did them on the same.
Okay.
Yeah, you had
Okay.
those two together, and there was a part 1 and part 2, and it was just it hooked me. I was like, wow, this is because it was just such casual conversation. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed the style because it wasn't like a peppered interview question. It was just chatting, and I like that.
Yeah.
It's casual style. I enjoy that.
Well, it's like
I
I
just said
like
that,
doing the How We Work episodes because I'm like, okay, there's obviously these which are more. Well, this really wasn't even an interview. We just talked about like which is I guess
chat.
yes, this is the stuff you like to hear anyway. So it's kind of nice how it crossed over into the episode. How that's what this episode is. But like for the most part, these are more like getting to know this person that's like not like I don't know how to say this in a good way. Sorry. How We Work, guys. I love you. I love you. How We Work, guys. But I don't know how to say it. I guess like it's harder to, especially if I don't talk to people often. And they also have a job. They can't speak about as much. I
Right.
mean, you know, it's like stuff like that, or
Vague.
like it.
Yeah.
Me and you are. We're both women, or like we both have we both have similar things. That's how we've gone
Right.
through a lot of this episode, like how we're talking about, or at least you can relate your daughters to me in some way, and stuff we do and stuff.
I was
like
young
that.
ones too. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
get it.
that too. I forgot.
A
Sorry.
million years ago.
It was
You
so
know,
long. I
before
never even knew.
dinosaurs and dirt.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just different, and also I don't really fit into like the gamer, like a lot of these people in
either,
this
yeah.
community are, I guess you could say, are gamers, right?
Huge. Yeah.
They start talking about this game, that game. If I had a whole episode on that, I wouldn't know shit about any of that. So that's where I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
that's
same.
where I can get like the people who want to get on and may like know more about their job than like stuff we can talk about together on the how we work, and then like the main episode just more of general chat, or people who do, you know, like want to talk about, I put in here originally, but we didn't talk about like election stuff, you know, like just stuff to kind of differentiate it. And again, like I've been talking about, I want to be a mentor, blah, blah, blah. At least like the how we work, I can put my 2 cents in there and be like, wow, this is what I learned. You know, working at a job, I've learned this. But I think it's good, just different points of view, and also different vibes. I kind of like that group setting, getting a lot of people on at once too, because it puts a lot of pressure off of me too, because I get scared. Like I was afraid to come into this one, so I'm very glad we recorded the Bible episode first, because that was a good icebreaker
That was fun.
beforehand.
Yeah.
Everyone go check that out. Chapter 16 of Leviticus on the Don't the Bible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the one-on-ones, I don't know. I get so scared,
Pressure.
so I'm glad I can break it up with the how we work and have more. I know we will have more casual conversations, whereas like these mainline episodes, it's like I don't know what's gonna come out of people, and I don't know if what they're gonna want to talk
Lose their
about.
mind or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
No,
I've had
this
some
was great.
interesting-
You made it very comfortable, very casual, and it's
Hell yeah.
you know, we chit chat all the time anyway. Like we
Yeah.
chit chat like through Discord or whatever. So this was just fun. It was just an extended chit chat.
Yep. This was good.
I
I
like it.
loved it. I
Yeah,
loved
it was
it.
great.
Thank you so much for coming
Aw.
on.
Thank you. This was great. I had a good time.
Yay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yay us.
This is how I end my show. Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to
The Mariety Show.
The Mariety Show.
The Mariety Show.